Royal family live, Queen facing significant monarchy crisis over Charles tenants revolt. The royal family is facing a quite significant reform as the government is to give leaseholders in England new rights, but exemptions for the Queen and Prince Charles could spark upset, according to experts. The three crucial royal estates are expected to be exempted from the reform, which will see leaseholders in England being given the right to extend their leases up to 990 years without paying any ground rent. This exemption, however, could hugely upset tenants in the three areas linked to the royal family: the Crown Estate, the Duchy of Lancaster and the Duchy of Cornwall, who may continue to face rising rents. Royal finance expert David McClure, author of The Queen's Worth, said, "The real problem with the new legislation is it doesn't apply to the Scilly Isles, where the major landowner is Prince Charles's Duchy of Cornwall. In the last 10 years or so there have been many complaints from tenants saying the rents are too high. Or it is too difficult for us to get an extension of the lease, or it is impossible for us to buy up the freehold. That means their property is much less valuable." And it should be remembered that last year the duchy made £22 million in profit, which all goes to Prince Charles, and in the last 20 years the profits have gone up by almost £10 million. So, put crudely, the Duchy of Cornwall is Prince Charles's cash cow. Some tenants in the Scilly Isles say the Duchy of Cornwall is doing this purely to make money. Mr. McClure added these exemptions are unlikely to be challenged in the Houses of Parliament, saying any legislation affecting the Queen cannot be criticized in the House of Commons. Appearing on Mail Plus's Palace Confidential, he added, "I fail to understand why a leaseholder in the Isles of Scilly should not have the same rights as those on other UK islands. Surely it is time we brought all of these affairs into the 21st century." This sentiment was echoed by Richard Eden, the Daily Mail diary editor. Mr. Eden drew a parallel between this government's legislation and the House of Lords Act 1999, which saw the abolition of hereditary peerage during Tony Blair's first legislature. Mr. Eden said, "This is an absolutely fascinating story. It sorts of gets to the heart of the monarchy. It reminds me of the row when Tony Blair abolished the hereditary peers, or most of them, and the royal family actually started to get very nervous. Because they thought, wait a minute, if we are abolishing the rights of someone who inherits a seat in the House of Lords because of an accident of birth, what repercussions could this have for the monarchy?" And it's the same with this. Our conservative government is bringing about quite a radical reform, actually, to reform a system that has been with us since the Middle Ages. It was actually brought in to help fund the Crusades by barons who needed some new money, and it has stayed ever since. It was exported around the world, but now it is still in use only in Britain. And it affects 1 in 5 households across Britain, apparently, I read, which is incredible if true. It really is quite significant, and I think that although we have read reports this week that there is going to be an exemption for the royal family, and that is particularly because of the Duchy of Cornwall, which is a vast area of land, I do think it's a problem. I think they shouldn't have an exemption because they do need to move into the modern world, however painful that is. Approximately 4.5 million households in England and Wales own their homes on a leasehold basis and pay annual ground rent to the freeholder of the property, which grants the right of the homeowner to live there. At the moment, leaseholders of houses can only extend their lease for 50 years once and pay ground rent. Flat owners can do so multiple times with a peppercorn rent for 90 years. The Duchy of Cornwall, which is owned by Prince Charles, said, "The Duchy of Cornwall takes great care to ensure that anyone purchasing a property where the freehold belongs to the duchy is made completely aware of the restrictions that may apply." Donald Trump broke royal protocol in a way that was dubbed a mortal insult to Queen Elizabeth II during a visit to the UK in 2018. According to royal historian Ian Beck. Mr. Trump turned his back on the monarch and walked in front of her while inspecting the guard at Windsor Castle. Mr. Beck wrote on Twitter, "Trump has also turned his back on the Queen. I have always believed this to be a mortal insult to a monarch." 10 p.m. update, Camilla never had ambitions to marry Charles. Camilla has been married to Prince Charles for 15 years now, but she never actually planned to tie the knot with the heir during their long love affair, according to a royal biographer. Speaking on the Channel 4 documentary The Real House of Windsor, royal author Christopher Wilson said, "Camilla saw life as Charles' mistress as a bit of fun, something that would never be made public and would probably continue for as long as she was sexually active. I don't think there was any ambition on her part to advance herself to become the wife of the Prince of Wales." 9:35 p.m. Update, Kate's hands-on approach when teaching George and Charlotte. Kate has a hands-on approach to homeschooling Prince George and Princess Charlotte, according to a royal expert. The Duke and Duchess of Cambridge are busy homeschooling George, 7, and Charlotte, 5, at Enmore Hall in Norfolk while their school Thomas's Battersea is closed for a lockdown. Royal author Katie Nicholl told OK! Magazine, Kate and William are very involved with the children's schooling. Thomas's Battersea expects a hands-on approach from parents, that's part of the reason they picked it. George and Charlotte are studious and love to learn, so they are pretty self-sufficient when it comes to Zoom learning. But the school likes the children to do practical projects too. 8:15 p.m. Update, Kate dazzles in tartan as Duchess and William celebrate Burns Night. Kate and Prince William have sent a traditional treat to NHS workers in Scotland to celebrate Burns Night. The Duke and Duchess of Cambridge recorded a video message praising the work of NHS Tayside and 200 staff at Ninewells Hospital in Dundee tucked into a lunch of haggis, neeps and tatties thanks to NHS Charities Together, which William and Kate support as patrons, and Tayside Health Fund. Kate stunned in a tartan dress as she was joined by William for the video message on Burns Night, the annual celebration held on poet Robert Burns' birthday. Sarah Ferguson has opened up about not having her mother around as she discussed Princess Eugenie's royal baby. The Duchess of York's mother, Susan Bentz, died in a car crash in Argentina in 1998 when she was just 61. Sarah told Us Weekly, "Having not had my own mother around, I've always been determined to be a very present mother with my children, and I know Eugenie will be the same with hers. She is incredibly empathetic and will be a great mother. She is a very strong and determined person, always looking for the truth in all she does." 5:40 p.m. Update, Queen doesn't expect staff to drop everything when she enters room. The Queen does not expect her staff to drop everything when she bumps into them around her royal residences, according to an author who has spoken to insiders for her new book. Sophia Bennett portrays Her Majesty as a detective for her novel The Windsor Knot. The book sees the Queen investigate a murder at Windsor Castle alongside her royal duties. As part of her research for the piece of fiction, the writer spoke to people who have worked in the royal household. Ms. Bennett told Yahoo! If staff see her they might give her a brief nod or curtsy, but she does not expect them to drop everything they were doing.